All right, welcome to podcast 70 of the Pickleball Crew. We're going to take off and try something a little bit different this week. So I'm going to flip it over to Jeff and he's going to introduce it.
All right, so we've been talking about recording yourselves and watching some of your gameplay and gathering some information from that. Uh, so we recorded me and Ken with Brandon and Joe. A lot of y'all out there will recognize these two guys. They were nice enough to let us record the match. Said, "Hey, y'all can use this for instructional stuff, whatever y'all want to do." We want to make sure that everybody knows we're not here trying to put down on any one of the players in this. We're just trying to see some good things that we did and some things that maybe could have been done a little better. And those two guys were nice enough to let us videotape the match.
Well, we've talked about recording yourselves and reviewing it. And Vicky, for the longest time, we recorded a lot of our tournament matches and would come back and watch it. And I think the one thing that jumps out to me in just recording and reviewing is the eye in the sky doesn't lie. It's really true that if you feel like you're playing a certain way, in your mind, you can be convinced that you're getting up to the no volley zone, or you're you're slowing the ball down in the transition area, or you're serving deep, whatever it might be. But once you sit down and watch a match that you just played in, and really you gotta put your pride on the table and really be open to what's really happening and say, hey, here's areas that I can improve on, because maybe I'm not quite doing everything I think I'm doing. So we're gonna try to be constructive about it, but we're also look, we all make mistakes in a match, so we're not going to be too critical of any one player. The match we're about to watch, we really thought everybody played a good match overall. But we're going to point out a couple of things too that we felt like might have been the deciding factor in how the match played out.
Okay, gang, before we dive into watching this match, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pickleball Crew. We are a group of pickleball fanatics based in Southeast Louisiana and are passionate about all things pickleball everywhere. Our focus is to inform, acknowledge those who help build the game regionally, and promote tournaments in our area. We do our best to present this with a love of the sport, a sense of humor, and a lot of fun. So join Vicky Wynn, Ken Wynn, Jeff Fuchsia, and me, Bud Klein, in our latest episode. We are glad you are along for the ride.
This is a match at Pelican Park.
A little return to serve out.
So we're side out. Everybody's kind of settling in here. There's a good drop by Ken. All right, so go back, Bud, and let's look at this in slow-mo, and let's take a few of the things that we saw happen there. All right, we got Brandon serving here. I want to take note of when the ball comes back to Ken, he goes cross court with his drop shot, which is really good. And then I go back cross court with the dink, and then we go back and forth a couple of times, cross court, and then Ken decides to speed up. This is something that we talk about all the time with the people we're working with. You want to go cross court most of the time. 75 to 80% of the time is what most of the pros do. If you don't believe us, you can go watch any pro match and it'll show that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another thing to point out is that you guys made it up. Joshua returned, made it up to the no volley zone. You both were up there, but my drop shot allowed me and Brandon both to get up to that. So all four of us were basically up to that no volley zone.
Yeah, that was a good job.
I don't know about how hard Brandon's put away was or whatever, but that it looked like he hit it in the middle again, going down in the middle, and caused a little bit of confusion maybe as to who should have taken it.
All right, there you go. All right, bud, let it roll at real time. Let's see what else we can get into here.
It was side out. So Joe's serving.
Well, you made it up there, but
Yeah, yeah. It was a good It was a good drop shot by him. Third shot, cross court drop, and instead of taking another step, I just reached out with my paddle, and that is, that's just a recipe for a low percentage shot by reaching and not taking another step. Then he served down the line on Brandon. Brandon wasn't able to return it. All right.
It's another good cross court drop by Joe. So cross court drop shots are by both teams are pretty good so far. That's good that we're going cross court. All right, I'm serving here.
A nice deep serve. Brandon makes it all the way up. Oh,
and that was a nice drop you made.
Hey, but that, you know what? That is interesting. If I know it's me that did it, but there was a lob that I was able to run down and hit basically a third shot drop into the no volley zone. And to me, that's what most of the pros do. They'll drop a ball deep back in, not try to drive it, not try to relob it.
Yeah. Yes, Bud, let's go back and look at that whole point if we can in slow-mo, because there's a lot of good things done there. All right, there's good deep serve, good deep return.
Then he hits the lob.
Okay. Now, Ken, that's a great shot by you right there. Then when he comes back to you, I'd like to see you drop this one.
I know it.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
I mean, I'm not totally opposed. I don't think it's a terrible idea to drive from there, but I'd like to see you either hit the drive and then drop when they bump it back, or just go straight drop there to finish getting you and Brandon back up to the non-volley zone line and level the playing field again. I mean, you made a great shot, on the reset, getting that ball right back over the net. We just needed one more drop for you there, and y'all are probably right back up.
Yep.
Brandon was back as well, and so you got to do what you can to get both of you there.
Yeah, because even if you fire that ball, even if you get it over, you and him are probably fixing to be on the defensive there.
Right. No, that's a good point. I did the hard lifting, and then I made it wrong.
So I mean, and hey, that's kind of what we do sometimes. We'll hit a great shot, and then we hit another shot. Your shot wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible, but we do want to try to drop from there most of the time. All right, Bud, let it roll.
Jeff is serving. Nice deep serve, deep return.
Nice backhand roll from him.
Yep. I mean, Brandon was ready for a backhand shot and hit it right down the middle. All right. Deep serve.
My return goes out.
All right.
All right, here we go with Ken serving from the left-hand side.
I served out.
Yeah, I want to say this to me is one of Ken's really strong points, is that hard top spin serve that bounces about 4 feet in the air before it gets to you. He hits a lot of winners with that serve.
Yeah, so what do we do? What do we need to do, Bud? Any of
back
us
up.
Counteract. We need to back up.
Back up.
Yeah.
But he catches a lot of people standing too close to the line.
Yeah.
Me included.
Me too. It's going to be a good press roll there.
Mm-hmm.
Good press drop by Brandon, yeah.
Yeah, and that just caused Joe to pop the ball up, and then we were able to put it away. All right. Another good drop by Brandon.
All right, let's run that back because there's some good stuff in here. All right, the first thing is on Brandon's return, I'd like him to get further back. Watch how your serve kind of rocks him backwards a little bit. If he would get a little further back, see how he's kind of stepping on his back foot? I'd like to see him back further, kind of stepping into that shot. It's a good drop and a good poach by Ken.
Joe does a good job of just getting the ball back over.
Yeah, Brandon's on it. He just overcooked that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, pause it for a second, bud. All right, for poachers out there, people that are learning how to poach, Ken read and saw Brandon's body language and that he was back, okay, on that particular shot. Well, the other team, which is me and Joe in this situation, we also see Brandon back, okay? So Ken kind of knows, hey, they're probably going to try to go back at him. Was that what you were thinking, Ken?
Well, I was up, Brandon was back, and I just saw, I know that as the up person, if I can move over and get to a high ball, I'm going to stay aggressive if I'm the up person. And I saw a chance for a put away, and unfortunately the ball came back. But
yeah. Well, so what I'm getting at though is for people out there, one of the good times to poach is when you see your partner back and he's struggling, but he got a pretty good shot back over, but they see that he's still back. So a lot of times they're going to try to go to that person that's back. So as a point guard and with the point guard mentality, you can almost see that before it happens, which is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you saw.
Well, as the up person, I feel like I'm responsible for about 70% of the court until my partner joins me up at that no volley zone. And when that ball got popped up, even though it was on the other side of the court or it was just across the center court line, that's got my name written all over it. And so I'm going to take that because my partner is back, and he would have had to let it bounce, and we would have lost the advantage of a high ball. So
that's correct, and it had y'all set up to win the point. And I mean, and Brandon was on it. He just heated it up a little bit too much, and it went out the back line. So that's a good point.
It is
by both teams. All right, let her roll, bud. All right, so we got Brandon serving now. Good serve by him. Brandon's serve is getting better and better. He's got a lot of top spin on his serve. I didn't handle that very well.
Right there, that's a common mistake, and I know I'm still working on it. That was a weak return, and Brandon took a step in. He was halfway into the service box and drove the ball, and that might have been a candidate shot for really him hitting a softer shot right over the net, allow us to move up to that no volley zone.
Can we go back and look at that in slow-mo, bud? Because this is something that a lot of us are working on, like Ken said.
So that's where Brandon probably thought he had an opportunity for putting it away.
Well, so Joe got his return. He got his return up where he's coming up and he's almost there. Okay. So that ball is low that Brandon's trying to take right there.
If you look, that ball did not bounce really above the net. So that's
it didn't.
So that's really a red to yellow zone ball. That's not an attackable ball.
So let's be real about this. If your skill set allows you to take that ball and drive it, and there's people out there that can do this. We want to make sure that we're not telling everybody that this is the way the game has to be played. But we see this mistake made a lot, especially in intermediate to lower level play. I'm up at the line. I'm up at the non-volley zone line. Joe's trying to come up, okay? That ball's low. Brandon tries to drive it. It goes in the net. He's got a ton of room in front of Joe on the right-hand side there to just take a ball, lift it over into the kitchen, and then him and Ken come to the non-volley zone line. Now, that shot is not going to win him the point, but it's going to probably give them a better percentage of winning the point, most definitely, than driving it into the net. So if you're taking a lot of those, it's tempting. That ball's mid, transition zone. You want to get up there and drive it, but it's low. But it's probably a good idea for most people to take that ball and just lift it back up into the kitchen.
And I'm going to tell you, this is the kind of ball that when you talk to the individual about, hey, why didn't you just lift it over there? In their mind, they have a reason. Hey, I was trying to go down the middle. I was trying to do this. I was trying to do that. But we're also now talking about a shot that went into the net. So that alone tells me that is not a high percentage shot because it went into the net. A high percentage shot would have been a ball that you would have lifted over, and you can do it 9 out of 10 times and put it in front of, the opponent that's back.
Yeah, because it's really and Brandon would probably tell you this, it's a fairly easy drop from the transition zone right there. Mainly because he's got so much room in front of Joe.
Right.
And it's cross. Right.
And it's cross court. All right, bud, let's let it roll. Let's see what else we can get into here. So it's side out to us.
That was a good serve.
Ooh,
that was a good roll. So there was one of those balls. Did you get that one, Ken? You caught the sideline on that one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you go back, can you go back, bud, and let that one roll?
So this is actually a good serve that pulls me out wide, and I'm lucky to get a paddle on. Can we play this in slow-mo?
Yeah.
Coming up. Okay. So Jeff serves out wide, pulls me out. I'm able to get a shot back. I'm still back.
And wide.
If you notice, Jeff, you were straddling the tee at that point. You really pulled in.
So that's one of those balls that we just talked about. And I just lifted it up and over, and I felt so good about it that I had you pressed over on that sideline. That's why I stepped down toward the tee. But then you in turn hit a better shot than what I hit and just rolled it to the opposite side of me. And caught it, inside the sideline. But I just want to make point that's that same ball that we just talked about.
Right.
Where I could have run up and tried to drive it. And it, again, if it's in your skill set and you can do that, go for it. It's not in mine.
That's a good point.
It's not in. Let's just face it. It's not in most players that are 4-0 and below. So that's a position where you can lift that ball up and over, and you'll probably win yourself more points there. All right, bud, we can let her roll.
All right, Joe's serving. That was just a bad shot. Bad choice there.
What happened there? You might have been trying to slide it down his line.
I was trying to slide it down the line, and I just missed it.
Yeah.
It's a nice poach by Brandon.
So here we're trying to keep him back. That was a good drop by. I guess I missed that.
Oh.
So we were trying to keep you guys back, but Joe hit a really good drop that allowed you guys to come in.
It's a pretty long point here that we had. Good deep return. Brandon poaches there a little bit. I pop up. Now me and Joe are on the defense. So now me and him are trying to turn this defensive situation into an offensive situation. We're both trying to drop. We're not over swinging. Joe gets a good drop right there. And then Ken tries to curl it, which is not a bad shot, but like to see you just kind of concede to us there, Ken, once we worked our way back up and we're off in our dink battle right there.
Yeah, that was too aggressive of a shot. And I paid the price.
It didn't look by much.
No, he didn't miss it. I remember the point. He didn't miss it by much. All right, Bud, you can let it roll full speed here. Joe's serving. Let's see if we get into some other good stuff here. All right, some good digs by us.
He's staying deep.
That's a good job. That's a good job. Me and Joe still trying to figure out. Okay, all right. We can go back, and that was a really good point. We can go back and look at that. The problem at the end of that point is me. That last shot, look at where I'm at. You can see where I'm at on the screen right there. We're back. Me and him fought up to the line, and we ended up having to get back off the line. But that last shot I hit right there, instead of it being some sort of reset to try to get me and him moved up, I swung at the ball from the transition zone. And Ken and Brandon were squarely up, up on the line, pressing us up. That has got to be a reset most of the time right there because that ball was so low. I swung at it. Ken let it go out of bounds. All right, let it roll, Bud. That was a good deep serve by Ken.
Brandon.
That must have caught, huh, Ken?
Yeah.
So that's another good poach. Good return by Joe. And just that happens to all of us, just the third into the net. All right, we've got a side out here. That's a nice job by Brandon right there to get Ken and him up to the net.
Firefight.
All right, let's go back, Bud. Let's go back to the beginning of that point. I'm going to talk it through, Ken, till and I want to look at Brandon's drop shot right here. It's what a lot of people have trouble with. Look how he flares his paddle, opens that paddle face up, and the air that he got under it. And now we're in a dink battle. Me and him doing a pretty good job of going cross court. That's the easier dink. He stays in it. I stay in it. Kind of pressing each other some. Okay, and then a little firefight breaks out. That's a pretty good point all the way around right there.
It sure is.
Ken and Brandon lost the point, but to me the best shot in that was that nice getting the air under it drop shot that got Ken and Brandon up to the net after they served. If your drops are too hard and too flat, you're going to have trouble. You really should go all in on either a third shot drive, fifth shot drop, or a straight drop shot from back there if you can.
Bud, can you just roll back about 5 seconds just to see the end of that point?
Yeah, I'm curious about paddles.
Right there.
And look at Ken and Brandon, how they're pressed up on that line. Okay, they're taking all the space away from us there.
But I'm wondering if Brandon's paddle was down as
Yeah.
opposed to being in the extended
And
position.
look, this is something that I know I'm working on, but Brandon's paddle is down rather than out in front. And not to say that he would have done a lot of a better job, but that paddle was down at his side.
Yeah, and he may have. It was if it was timing and the ball then got too low when he
Yeah.
did hit it, he could have
And
hit it faster.
and
And
he didn't miss that by much. I think it was in
No,
the top part of the net.
right, right.
All right, bud, you can let her roll. That was another pretty good point. Now let's see if me and Joe can get to the net. Brandon and Ken pressing us up. Nice soft drop by Joe.
it was really nice.
That was another good drop shot. Notice the air. Brandon and Joe, both of them drop shots. Got some air under it.
Mm.
Almost one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good.
Joe had a nice sneaky soft serve there.
Yeah, with some top spin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see what we get into here. Good return by Brandon. All right, Joe's trying to put some air under it again. I'm good with that. He just sent a little wide. Side out. Brandon's good top spin serve. Brandon putting the air under it again. Sorry, not sorry. All right, second serve to Ken. I like how Brandon and Joe are getting air under their drops. That
was a deep serve. Really.
Yeah,
Another
and
service winner from Ken.
there's a good drop by Ken. Good drop by Brandon. Now they're all the way up, and we're into our dink battle. Two good drops. And if you notice, looking at this sideline view, how that ball has some arc to it. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot of loopiness to it, but it just doesn't need to be flat. You don't have time to move up if you're trying to hit your drop so flat. There's a drive. All right. Ken's going with third shot drive there. Effective.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if they can get to the net this time. Ken serving.
That's 4 this game for Ken.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the themes of this game so far is us not handling Ken's serve very well. All right. That's a good return. Good deep return. Now we got a side out. If I recall, this was a close game, but Ken and Brandon won the game. Think about those 4 serves. If we handle those serves a little better, the possibilities.
We're trying to keep you guys back.
Yep.
You're doing a really good job of up.
One more. Yep.
Joe hit a good drop shot.
Oh.
Jeff going for the Ernie there.
Yeah, so can we see the end of that? I mean, can we see that point again in slow motion? Because something went wrong there right at the very end.
All right. So you're going to see me and Joe on the defensive here, but I want you to notice how him and I keep on putting air under the ball to try to slow the point down and reset what's going on. Even though we're getting hammered on, we're just lifting it.
And there was the drop.
And now there's the ball, and Joe hits it soft, which is a great shot. Now we're in our dink battle. Okay, and I'm trying to get some air under it. Ken's pounding on me there. But look where you're at now, Ken. Also, now you're moving back up, which is good. Still good. That one tips the net. I'm going up and over. I go for the Ernie. And Joe fills in. Anytime somebody's going for the Ernie right there, their partner should fill into the middle, which is exactly where Joe went to. and Brandon saw me coming and tried to get it back, I guess, cross court or wherever he was trying to go. But Joe was in the right position right there to finish the point.
Yeah, it was a pop up. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
it was.
sometimes when you go for that Ernie, they'll freak out and pop the ball up, and it's an easy put away for your partner.
So that's Ken was wondering what went wrong, and that kind of was it. You
Yeah,
get out,
but I mean,
get out of that rhythm, and then the change up happens, and sometimes just by changing where you're sending can make a big difference
yeah.
too.
But to me, that was one of the best points in the match right there.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really went wrong to me that anybody did. There was a lot of good shots in there. Of course, it went wrong at the end, but all right, bud, let her play. Good serve by Joe.
Nice return. Another good send deep.
Best shot in that point was Joe once again. He picked out the ball and got some air under it. Kind of regathered things for us. I remember this one. This is another good point. Now, I got away with that, and I got there, but I don't have any business hitting that ball hard and fast like I did. I mean, I was just barely getting to it, but we've talked about it numerous times. When we're stretched out like that, the best shot is to try to go soft back into the middle, because if I don't squeeze that ball through there, which it's not going to squeeze through there very often, if I hit it another 9 times, Ken's probably demolishing that ball.
Right. And they were doing a good job of moving you guys back and forth. I mean, changing
Yeah.
where they were the ball. So they did a lot there.
Yeah, me and Joe were on the defensive a lot here when we were serving. Handled it pretty good, but
Yeah, his drops are a big help in that.
oh yeah. All right, let it roll, bud. All right, Joe's been hitting some great drop shots. Tried to drive that one there. It got away from him a little bit. There's Brandon with a good drop. Brandon with another good drop. Both of them cross court. And then a little flick right up into Joe's chest. So that last point was Brandon did a really good job, and he went cross court from the back line and cross court from transition. 2 drops going cross court. That's a much easier shot going cross court. Got up to the net and then got a ball that he felt like he could speed up. Looking at that match, first of all, right off the bat, Ken's serve kind of took 4 points off of us. We didn't handle that serve good. We could have done a much better job of handling that. The other thing was, it seemed to me like me and Joe were more under pressure when we were serving. We dealt with it good some, but there was a lot of times where it just felt like Brandon and Ken were putting a lot of pressure on us there, and we weren't able to get to the line as much as I would have liked to have seen us get there. And to me, ultimately, those two things kind of were the high points of the match, or the things that helped Ken and Brandon win the match.
I thought everybody did a good job of drop shots.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody hit some good soft shots.
They did, especially Brandon and Joe. A lot
got in the soft game.
Yeah. We get all hung up, y'all, on ripping the ball and hitting it hard and flat. and when we say get air under it, I don't mean a lot of loop and it's just getting a little. I talked to you about it today, Vicky, when we were playing.
Yep.
Just a little bit of arc on that ball gives you some time to do some stuff, and you know, it can make a difference. It makes a big difference.
Absolutely, and I think that a few times a point could be made too that, you know, a common mistake is by going too hard from the transition zone. And especially when you're struggling to get to the ball, it's instinct is just to hit it and hit it as hard as you can. But knowing where you are and that you are, you know, resetting is always the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Give yourself.
I think if you look at where the majority of the unforced errors were, and I think it was overhitting in the transition or trying to go for a low percentage, high risk shot, like the shot I hit down, trying to go down the line deep. You know, that's just not a high percentage shot. And you know, if you're up 10-2, okay, you can try a shot like that. But in a close match, you know, don't take that chance.
Yeah, and I had a couple of them. The one I got away with, where I hit it down the middle, and then there was another one that I'm taking a low ball from transition. One of y'all had hit it hard at me, and I'm swinging at it from transition zone, and it goes up, and y'all just, you know, olay, and it goes out.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to get yourself changed, you know, in. It takes a lot of practice.
It is, Vic, but it's something if we want to be 4-0 players and above that we aspire to be, it's what we have to do. We've got to – we always talk about shot selection. That was a poor shot selection on my part, okay, to try to, you know, I don't know what – I don't know if I was trying to paint the corner of the court or what I was trying to do there. I see it a lot, that Dave Fleming that does a lot of the play-by-play in pro pickleball. And he talks about the pro pickleball players. He'll say, hey, she lost her mind right there, or he lost his mind right there. So they do it too. So you could easily say right there, Jeff, you lost your mind on that particular shot instead of just hitting trying to reset. So.
Well, I think you can say that the majority of the unforced errors came on a poor shot selection in that match.
I think you're right, Ken. And I mean, all four players I thought hit some really, did a lot of good things. But there's always something we can pick out. So hopefully this will help some of the folks out there. I know it helps us, trying to see where a lot of our unforced errors are coming from. So,
yeah. And again, when you do this and you do decide to film yourself, which we're always promoting that as an idea for people to film, you're going to see it as it is, and you will learn your weaknesses and where you are making those poor choices. So.
All right, crew, that was a great discussion, great match, really enjoyable. But now, if nobody has anything else, I think it's time to say goodnight. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey, from the Pickleball crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments, and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again, and see you next week.